And just like that, guest number 2 is calling in. I'm being a little bit this time. Okay, I got some members of Common Center joining me right now. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for being on. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me. This is Lewis.
All right, cool, Lewis. Well, thank you. So, I guess I forgot to ask beforehand, but how many people of Common Center are gonna call, or is just you on behalf of the band?
Uh, it's, it's me on behalf of the band, man. They put me in charge.
That sounds good to me, man. I'm glad.
Sure.
So, um, I got a chance to listen to the EP. Very interesting title of the EP.
Yeah.
So before, and I would definitely will be asking about that album name in a bit. But first, let's talk about the band first, Common Center. How did you lovely, extraordinary musicians got together?
I like you already.
How did you all got together and formed this band called Common Center?
So it started out probably at this 5 or 6 years ago. Our lead singer, primary songwriter, and guitarist Liam Hall moved to Covington, Kentucky, which is right across from Cincinnati, Ohio. He was from up in Ohio and kind of out by Dayton, Columbus. To start a band, he had been in a couple projects prior to that, and kind of wanted to come to an area that had a bit more of a kind of a live scene. And Cincinnati's always had a pretty rich like local music scene, so there's just musicians that are looking to start something. And he came down here and met a couple people, met a drummer, Austin, and our saxophone player, Sasha. They ended up kind of forming, playing a couple songs together, started gigging out. They did that kind of casually for about a year or two. And then I ended up, a buddy of mine sent me a text and said, hey, you should come out and see this band play. They're really cool. I think you'll like them. So I ended up going over, checking them out. And I really liked them so much that I ended up hanging out with Liam afterwards and asked if he would want to kind of collaborate on stuff. And then in the next basically 6 months, dude, we went from a 3-piece to a 7-piece. And we just kind of through our network met a couple people. Jessica on violin. Our bass player was just exiting his band at the time. A couple other people ended up just kind of coming into place and forming the Common Center 7-piece about 4.5 years ago. That's the version of a convoluted story.
You know, in the words of a cast member of the A-Team, I love when the plan comes together. And that pretty much what it felt like when Common Center was
No, it
formed.
definitely did.
So, and Cincinnati, Ohio, one of my favorite cities. I lived
Oh, yeah.
there for 7 years. The
Oh, nice.
chili, the Bengals, even though I'm not a Bengals fan, you know, just that city overall, some of the best years of my life. You know,
Yeah.
but here's the thing: I didn't support local music until 3 years ago. So
Okay.
I'm just getting familiar with so many acts. I live in Lexington. That's very busy scene there, talented scene there, and I've heard of you guys and gals through some mutual bands, and I started listening to your music, and I was very pleased with what I've heard.
Nice.
Very, very
Awesome, dude.
pleased. So let's get into the name of this EP, which I might consider this one of the most intriguing names of an album or EP I've ever heard in my life. Uh, I'm gonna let you explain this one, man. What's the name of the EP, and which one of you lovely people came up with that name? Please enlighten me with this.
So our first actual really official release was 12 back in November of 2015
Mm-hmm.
called Gypsy River, and it came from a song called Gypsy River Wade. We just, picked that and didn't want it to be total like a title track sort of situation. It seemed to fit. We had kind of identified with this like sort of, this gypsy-based sound where, some of our chords and some of our scales and things like that use that kind of feel, and, it made sense. And then when we went to name this one, we have poured over. We ended up printing all the lyrics, read through all the lyrics, highlighted a couple words that would make sense, that would sound good. At one point, we had in one of our songs we say "Between the Seam," and I really like "Between the Seam" because it seemed just super clean and like a nice like zip of a name. "Between the Seam," sort of. It felt short and right for an EP, and it felt kind of safe. So we ended up, right when it came time, we picked, our artist ended up drawing up, or painting, 3 entire different paintings for this EP cover. So we had a big voting where we voted on our cover and our title. So what we did with the title was we wrote down about 10 or 15 different versions, and kind of everyone got a couple votes and put them up there. And then it kind of got down to the finals, and we were down to like 3. And we decided to take a break, went outside and chilled out and talked about stuff. And one of our songs says, lyric, it's kind of in the peak of the song, "Your food for the pelican." And, we were pouring over these names that it can't come from the lyrics and things like that. We're like, oh yeah, that one would sound cool because it seems, kind of something that people can remember, things like that. And then somebody threw out the idea of, why don't we just pull something just entirely out of somewhere else? Like it can derive from the song, but it's not an actual lyric from the song. And we've had this sort of weird preoccupation with the pelican, because the pelican is just this sort of oddly fierce bird that everyone knows what it is, but if you really kind of Google what a pelican does for its feeding habits and just its nature, it's a pretty fascinating creature. And we're like, well, we can't call it the pelican, we can't call it, this and that. And, kind of this whole undertaking of this 7-member band making this music that it's, all these different instruments that normally don't make sense together, combining like world elements and progressive and psychedelic elements and all this stuff is like it's a weird undertaking. And I guess from the pelican, and that, I think it was Liam ended up saying, to swallow something half your size. And, we kind of laughed at it, blah, blah, blah. And we went back in to revote, and I'm like, do you want me to write that down on the board? So yeah, write it down, whatever. And I wrote it down. And we ended up getting down to "Between the Seam," to swallow something half your size. Came down to a swing vote, and one person had the final vote. That person was me. And dude, I was between this really nice sort of "Between the Seam." It's nice and clean and simple, but "To swallow something half your size" is just really absurd, and it's actually more words in the title than there are songs on the EP. And it just made the vote for the lesser safe choice. And that's how we up with it.
Wow,
I guess it works. Do you like it?
yeah, and the last vote was on you, man. So, and in all my years of listening to music, I've never heard of an album title or EP title that has more words than songs that's on the actual album. So I'm gonna have to look through all my CDs that I purchased for that. That's probably gonna take forever.
Let me know.
But yeah, so if you swallow something half these, oh man, go get that EP. Not just because of the title, but because of the music, y'all. Go check it out, Common Center. You will be very pleased with what you hear. It's on all digital music platforms. And I played one of the songs earlier. I played track number 2, another lengthy song name. A lengthy name for a song, but I had to play that one, and it sounded real good. So,
Not dependent on neither one.
yeah, yeah. So that's the one I play. I like that song. So, now what are some upcoming shows that Common Center has coming up that you want to promote?
So, here in the Cincinnati region, we just did one last a week or two ago in Covington. But our next show is July 27th for Adjust Your Eyes Festival. That's a sort of an urban festival that used to be. It's kind of like what Midpoint used to be. It's at all different clubs in Northside. Like our show is at the Northside Yacht Club. We're playing with our friends Founding Fathers, Tuber, and a couple other bands. And I think we're kind of headlining that show that night. And that should be a lot of fun. That's still a month and a couple weeks away, but it'll be a big one. We'll do that, and then we're leaving straight that next morning to go play 2 shows at Floyd Fest in Floyd, Virginia, and that's going to be on Saturday and Sunday.
Go check out Common Center on those shows. They are on your social media feeds. Go check them out. I think I got a website as well, commoncentersounds.com.
That's it.
Yeah, commoncentersounds.com is the website. All the social media feeds, all the music, all the upcoming shows, info are on there. Support local music, support indie artists, support
Absolutely.
your groups. So and check them out. Lewis, it was great chatting with you. Thank you for explaining the title of that EP. That may be a highlight for me on this show in 2018 thus far. That's pretty high.
Even
right there.
even try to explain it as to
Yeah.
swallow something half your size.
Yeah. For those that don't know the meaning or purpose behind that title, you now know courtesy of this show. I like to get the scoop around here, so I try.
Now they know.
So, but Lewis, great chatting with you, man.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Continue success. Tell the rest of the band I said hello, and hopefully you guys will be headed to Lexington in the future. I definitely want to check y'all out in person.
Oh yeah, I'm in talks with Doral right now, so we'll be down there soon.
Yeah,
Stay up.
that's one of my favorite venues right now, so I'll definitely keep an eye on that.
Right on.
You have a good night. Have a great weekend, man.
Absolutely. Cheers.
All right, take it easy, man. That was Lewis representing Common Center. I want to thank Maple